everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington. I come to you live every Wednesday night with usually three projects, and I show you how I made them just to give you some ideas. I am getting back in the game after being out for a couple weeks due to surgery, so those of you who are returning, thank you very much, and those of you who are new, you are in for a fun evening. Let me take a moment here just to get my screen up and running. I want to make sure I can see all of your comments. Speaking of comments, make sure that you say hello at the very least. We're building a fun little community here, and part of the way we do that is by the conversation that's taking place. So if you are a little bit shy about piping in, at least say hello. Tell me where you're from. I love to hear where everybody's from. But feel free to ask questions, answer questions, talk to one another, any of the above. Like I said, that's part of how we help build this little community. So, hey Marcia, hello. So I'm getting this, I've got this up on the screen now. I can see everybody's comments. I can see this wonderful hairdo I've got going on. This is fantastic. I'm trying to think if I've got anything fun to tell you about this week. I do have some sad news, kind of sad news. Jackson got a job, and he's going to be working a shift that is Monday through Friday, 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. So there's a chance that he might be sleeping during my lives, in which case he wouldn't be able to do another, he was going to do a Christmas card. But we're going to kind of wait and just see, let him get used to the job and see how he feels and what time he just kind of naturally wakes up. Does he want to be awake for extra hours before he goes to work, or does he want to be awake for extra hours after he gets home from work? So we'll see. But I do hope it doesn't rule out him being able to participate, because I know that he enjoys that. You guys have enjoyed it, and I think it's a lot of fun as well. So you can see Lucy behind me. Oh my goodness, she's just laying down, being quiet and sweet. Make note of it. It doesn't happen all that often. Okay, so a couple things I want to make sure to tell you guys about. If you have ever thought about joining Stampin' Up!, even if you're just on the fence, this is a fantastic time to do it. Stampin' Up! Is celebrating our 35th anniversary, and in order to do that, we have 2 kit options this month only, okay? Normally the kit, let me tell you what it normally is, and then I'll tell you how it's a little different this month. Normally it is $99. You get to pick $125 worth of products of your choice, plus you get a free paper pumpkin kit, plus you get free shipping on the kit, plus you get to start at a discount of 20% off of your own products that you purchase. And you know what, whether you are interested in doing what I do, where I do videos and such like that, or if you're just interested in feeding your own hobby and not selling it all, that's okay too. Stampin' Up! Welcomes all different levels of interest as a demonstrator. So if you are, like I said, if you're even just, you've been on the fence and you're not sure, you're kind of wondering what's that all about, I would love to answer any questions that you have, because this, like I said, is a great time to sign up. Let me tell you why. Like I said, we have 2 options this month. You can buy that $99 kit, but instead of getting $125 worth of products of your choice, you can get an additional $35 of products. So you can get $160 worth of products of your choice, plus the paper pumpkin kit, plus the free shipping. So it's a great deal. $99 for about $185 worth of products when you consider the paper pumpkin kit. Now, the other option, say that maybe you just want to, you want to focus on saving the money this time, right now. You can choose to get your kit 35% off instead, which is roughly like $64 and some change. You'll still get the $125 worth of free products. You'll still get the paper pumpkin kit. You'll still get the free shipping. You'll still get everything that comes in the kit normally. You'll just get it for about $35 less. So if either of those options has any interest to you, let me know. You can go directly to my website, which is heathersides.stampinup.net. You can go there and find out more information on my website, and you can even sign up right there on the website, or send me a message with any questions that you have. I'm happy to answer anything to help you decide if this is something you want to try. If you do sign up, you decide it's not for you, you just deactivate. That's it. Easy peasy, no harm, no foul, nobody's feelings are hurt, and you go back to being a regular customer. So if that interests you, let me know. Okay, now I want to turn the camera around. I have a special prize to award this week. Oh, I forgot to tell any of you that are new. To encourage that conversation that I like so much, I award a prize every week to everybody who participated in conversation the week before. So the nice thing about that is you don't just have to be watching the live video. If you're watching the replay here on Facebook, or if you're watching it on YouTube, still pipe in, say hello, ask any questions that came up, tell me where you're from, any of that good stuff, and your comment will still go into the drawing for next week's prize, okay? So we've got our regular prize from last week's drawing, and then also last week I awarded one of the prizes to Jason Laux. And Jason Laux is also a demonstrator, and he came back and he said to please forward that on to somebody else and award it to them. So I actually have 2 prizes to give away this week. So let's turn the camera around and we'll talk about it. Okay, get this camera all ready. Fight with it for a little bit like I do every week. You know how it is. You know how I am. Okay, let's see here. Is that even almost straight? Of course it's not. I try to fix it and I just make it worse. That's what I do. Okay, so where did our prizes go? Oh, here they are. Okay, so first of all, I've got this one with dainty flowers, and it's got some embellishments and some ribbon. Jason said, pay it forward, give it to somebody else. And so the winner is Sharon Fine. And Sharon, you know I have your address, so I will pop this in the mail to you. Enjoy. Congratulations. And then our winner for last week's conversation. Hey, Mary. Oh, thank you, Marsha. I will pass that on to Jackson. Hey, Judy. You know what? I didn't even see all the comments coming in. Let's see who else. Nancy said hello to everybody. Hello, Nancy. Let's see. Got another Marsha on here. Welcome. We've got Kathy and Joyce. Let's see. I missed a lot of comments there, you guys. Marsha asked how I'm feeling. I'm feeling great. Still, I have to wear my neck brace when I'm in the car, when I'm sleeping, and if I'm in a big crowd. So basically times when there's a chance I could get jostled. Other than that, I don't even have to wear the neck brace. I am feeling great. Thank you for asking. Okay, so now this kit, it's got a little more paper than usual, and it is our Design a Daydream Designer Series paper that was in the annual catalog last year, I think. And there are some embellishments here to go with it, and then, of course, some really cute little ribbon. And the winner of this prize is Kathy Sanford. And Kathy, I thought I had your address, but I went looking for it, and it doesn't look like I do. So if you want to send me your address by email or here on Facebook, then I will go ahead and get this popped in the mail to you. So congratulations to both Kathy and to Sharon. All right, are you guys ready for our first card? As I mentioned in the little notice I put out about the weekly lives, this week I kind of focused a little bit on the color black. And, we kind of steer away from it a lot of times unless we're doing something really formal because we want it to be colorful and pretty and fun. And I thought, you know what? I want to do a little bit of black in here. Hey, John. And let's play with black a little bit and see how you can really add it to your cards. It gives a really sharp look, and they don't have to be just really formal cards when you do that. So this first card is using the inked and tiled stamp set. You guys know I love this stamp set. And it's actually a pretty simple card. Here I've stamped the envelope, and then here is the card. And the fun thing about this, what I really liked, is I embossed this first. an embossed image resists ink. So all of this pink around it, I did over the top of that. So you could do any kind of little scene or setting in black and then color over it. So black is still your primary color, but it really shines through well. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And there's the inside of the card as well. Okay, so we're going to start. We've got our basic card base, half of a sheet of cardstock, which is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Hey, Florence, welcome. I'm glad you like this card. Now you will get to see how I made it, and you can make one yourself. So I'm going to take my bone folder, get a nice crisp edge here, and then set that out of the way. Let's do the envelope first. And on this one, I kept it very simple, and I actually just stamped with my black Memento ink. Hey, Kathy, welcome. Okay, so, oops, I need my little scratch paper, don't I? There we go. Okay, so ink up my stamp, and then I just kind of started. My goal here was to make it look a little bit like a meadow with flowers of various heights, and just letting them overlap sometimes. There, like that. So made it nice and easy, and I actually like how sharp it turned out. Now I'm going to put that ink pad away before I lay down in it. Set my envelope off to the side. Let's my stamping what is it? Chamois. My stamping chamois that I use to clean my stamps. It's looking pretty sad, isn't it? I have several of them because I need to have several when I do live workshops. But I guess I don't know. I just stick with this one. The other ones are a lot cleaner and prettier, but I just stick with that one. Tried and true, right? Okay, so I have 2 pieces of basic white cardstock here. One is slightly larger than the other, and I'm going to use the larger one for the inside. It is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then the stamp I'm using is actually this one from the stamp set. And to be honest, I have not, for the life of me, been able to figure out exactly what it's supposed to be or how to use it. So this is the first time I did. Oh, thanks, Kathy. I will say sometimes I do have to fight a little harder to come up with ideas for how to decorate my envelopes, just because I feel like you guys see the same thing all the time. So anyway, I'm using this stamp just a little bit on the top and a little bit on the bottom. Then I'm going to close the ink pad, clean off the stamp, and then I'm going to do it again in black, but I'm going to flip the stamp around. You'll see what I mean here in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to ink it up with my black Memento ink. Now here where I did the thicker line, see how the line is thicker there and then thinner there? Here I've got the thicker line on the outsides. I flipped it around so it's just the opposite here. There we go. Nothing really fancy, no real particular placement, just to give it a little something on the inside. Hey Susan, welcome. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and glue this to the inside of the card. I'm using my snail, Stampin' Snail. Actually, it's the Snail Plus. We offer both regular snail and Snail Plus. Snail Plus is just a little bit strong. Well, it's quite a bit stronger, and I like it a little better. It is a little more expensive than the regular, but then I just don't have to worry about it. I know I've got a nice strong adhesive going on there. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to take this other white piece. Now this piece is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and the reason for that is because I have a black piece it's going to be mounted onto. The black piece is the same size as that white piece on the inside, where it's 4 by 5 1/4. So this is just 1/8 of an inch smaller to give us just that tiny little matte edge. the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp that black flower in the center. Thank you for your input, Lucy. Jackson is getting ready to feed his cat, so he's got the cat food out, and Lucy feels like she should be a part of that. Okay, so we're going to take the flower stamp, ink it up. One thing about Versamark, this is Versamark ink, by the way. It is intended to be a watermark ink, which means you can stamp on a colored cardstock and it creates an image that's just a little bit darker than the cardstock itself. It's really cool for like backgrounds and stuff, but it's also a very sticky ink. I'm doing this diagonal one here. It's also a very sticky ink, so it works very well for heat embossing, and because the embossing powder will stick to it. So I just stamped that. Make sure you close your ink pad right away, because if you get the powder on your ink pad is pretty much done. There's just no way to really clean it off. So I'm pouring the powder on there just like that. And then I'm going to shake off the extra. You know what I just did? Oh my goodness, I just did it with white. I didn't want it in white. I wanted it in black. Well, I'm going to show, you know what? I'm going to show you. Actually, I'm just going to set it aside. I'll heat set it later. Let me get another piece of white. Hang on. There's another part of this card that we are heat embossing with white. So I grabbed the wrong one. So I just pour it back into the container, and that's why I do it on this little scrap piece, so that I can do that. Can't believe I did that. Okay, so we'll just cut another piece really quick. So it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. There we go. Easy peasy. If you don't have a trimmer, or if you're in the market for a new trimmer, I really like the Stampin' Up! One. It comes with 2 blades. One is a scoring blade, one is a cutting blade, and you can buy replacements for both blades. It has this arm that opens up like this, so it goes out to 17 inches, but then folds up when you're not kneading it, so it's not in the way. Hang on, Lucy wants out. Okay, let's try this again. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I'm going to ink up my stamp. And I guess I never did finish this thought. One thing about Versamark ink, when you are using it for heat embossing, just when you think you have enough ink on your stamp, ink it up some more. Because you want to get as much ink on there as you can. So now I'm doing it like that. Press it down, lift it off. Okay, so putting my ink pad away. I've got the black powder. How I accidentally grabbed the white and used it, I don't know, because it's not like you can't tell which is which. Shake my head, right? Okay, now, where did I, oh, there's my scrap paper. I'm going to try this now with black. And, you know, if you haven't heat embossed before, don't be reluctant about putting too much powder on there, because you shake off all the extra anyway, and it goes back in the container, so you don't end up wasting it. Sometimes I do like to do it twice like that, just to make sure I really got it on there. And you can see the edge of my stamp got a little bit of ink on there, which of course then the powder stuck to. So I keep a little paintbrush, just something I got at the dollar store. But we do have a kit that you can get that has like a little tray that instead of a piece of paper, you use this tray, and then it has like kind of a little funnel hole at the end, so that you can pour everything back in. I think it comes with tweezers. It comes with a little embossing buddy pillow to get some of the static out of your paper. It's a really neat little kit you can get. Okay, set that aside for just a moment while I put my powder back. See, you can see how much powder I poured on there that just goes right back in the container. So don't worry about pouring a ton of powder on there, because you want to make sure you get a lot and that it sticks. Okay, now what we're going to do is, actually I'm going to clean my stamp really quick. Now, because it is a sticky ink, it is a little bit harder to clean off. Not hard, that's maybe not the right word, but you do have to kind of put a little bit of elbow grease in there just to get that ink off. And it is a little hard because it's clear, so you can't really see, but yeah. So it doesn't just wipe off as easy as our regular ink does. Okay, now the next step is a little bit loud, but it doesn't last long. So this is our heat embossing tool, and you just hold it over the powdered area until the powder starts to melt. And the way that you know that it's melting is it goes from being kind of dull and gritty looking to starting to look shiny. So it looks like it's kind of starting to do that now. It's a little harder to see with really fine lines, but when you have more of an image where, you know, it's a little thicker line, it's easier to see. See if I hold it up here, if it shows a little better. I don't have fabulous lighting in here, and that doesn't help. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now we have the whole flower done. And now it's totally melted on there, and you can feel it. It's textured. It's raised above the paper. So now what we're going to do, first of all, I have a little lip sticking up from my cutting blade, so I'm just flattening it back out. Now what I'm doing is I'm getting the Berry Burst ink pad and one of our blending brushes. I don't have a blending brush for every color. I kind of have it for every, I don't know what you'd call it, every kind of a family of colors, sort of. Like my reds and pinks are on one, my yellows and oranges are on one, I have greens on one, blues on one, purples on one. You know, so some people do prefer to have one for every color, and you can certainly do that. But if you don't want to invest in that many of the brushes, you really don't have to. Okay, so I've inked up the brush. Now the first thing I'm going to do is tap it a little bit on the side here just to get some of that extra ink off of it. And then I'm going to start going in circles around the edge, just like this. I'm going to wait to go into the real center of it because I'm going to want that to be a super, super light pink. So I'm going to use up some of my ink here first. And what you could do if you wanted to is maybe have focus on like the flowers themselves and have that light spot up there. I just chose to have mine more in the center of the card. Oh my goodness. Oh, Lucy's getting the dogs next door in trouble. Okay. So I've got some dark around the edge there. Yeah, it's pretty light now to do sort of the center. Oh, there was a big glob there. I didn't like that very much. But I'm going to go back and do it again because I still want that center part to be considerably lighter than the outside edge here. And these blending brushes are kind of something that you just want to play with and get a feel for them. For, you know, how hard do you need to press? How light do you need to press? What are different things you can do as far as shades and colors and things like that. And like I said, that just comes from playing with them. So I feel like I've got it nice and dark around the edges. But there's one more thing I'm going to add to really make those edges stand out. I'm going to put the ink pad away here. Now when I'm done with the brush, I just go like this all over my scratch paper just to get a bunch of that extra ink off so that it doesn't get everything all inky in my little bin of goodies. Okay, then I'm going back to, oh wait, I'm not going to use my Memento. I'm using the basic gray. Now the reason I'm using the basic gray is because what I'm about to do, I felt like the black was going to be too dark and wouldn't blend quite as well. So I inked up the brush. I'm doing the same thing I did before, but I'm just going to go around this edge. And it's just getting a little bit darker shade to this outer edge. Because remember, we're trying to draw out, you know, we're trying to focus on black on these cards this week. Okay, so just like that. Get the extra off. Now we can mount this onto our piece of basic black cardstock. Doesn't that black just really pull that gray out? Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put it onto the card. Just like so. Okay, now the next couple steps to finish it off are super, super simple. I just have a little strip of basic black. This is about a 1/2 inch wide. Actually, I bet you it's about 3/8 of an inch. Nope, 1/2 inch. And I'm going to take my Versamark ink again. You can also do this with our white craft ink because it's a pigment ink, so it's also very sticky, but it works as well. Let's see, there's my sentiment. This one just says just a note. So I'm going to ink it up really, 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 really well. And let's see. Kind of stuck it down before I meant to, so I think it's going to be sort of crooked. Let's take a peek here. Yeah, that's pretty crooked. Let's try it again. Okay, so okay, it's a little bit crooked still, but I think we're going to survive. So put the ink pad away. Get out my little scrap paper again. Now we're going to use the white powder. Oh, it's not as crooked as I thought. So got the extra off just like so. Okay, and now I'm going to pour it back in the container. And I'm going to take my brush to get the little extra bits of powder off of there. Be really careful that you don't actually brush the stamped image, or you have to start over. And I've got just like these little rogue powders right there, so I want to get rid of them. And then this down here. And I'm being very, very careful not to touch my sentiment with my brush. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing as we did before, where we're going to heat it up and watch for it to get shiny. And it warms up a lot faster because we just used it too. Okay, just about done here. I do like the look of the white embossing on black cardstock. And so now I'm just gonna cut this edge to match the other side. There we go. Maybe I'll set it right there so I don't lose it. Clean off my stamp. really scrubbing to get it off. This one being a smaller stamp, it's a lot quicker, of course. Okay, so now let's start piecing this together. I have a little bit of our jute. You can get the jute in a 5-pack that has all 5 of our new, well, 2023, 2024 in colors. And this one is Moody Mauve is what the color is called. So I'm tying my bow. Looks a little more like an octopus right at the moment. So now I'm going to play with it just to get the bow, get the loops the size that I want them. Okay. And the nice thing about what I'm about to do is if your bow is kind of laying funny, it's not laying flat, that's okay because part of it's going to be covered up anyway. So that works out okay. Just want to make sure these are about the same size. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my glue dots and my Take Your Pick tool. This is my favorite tool of all of my tools because it's so versatile and I use it in so many different ways. And right now what I'm doing is I was just getting that glue dot off and I'm using it to kind of roll it up so it's more like a little log than a dot. Whoops. And it's just because the dot is bigger than the knot of the bow and I don't want it to show, but to be honest, I guess it wouldn't have really mattered because that part is going to be covered up anyway. And I'll trim my tails there in just a moment. So now I have this where it says just a note, and I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on here. And what I'm doing is I'm actually putting the dimensionals, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I don't think I want to use the white ones. I want to use the black ones. And the reason for that is when you look at the card from the side, well, you can't so much on this one, but you can kind of see the white dimensionals. So if you don't like that, we have black ones. And when you buy a pack of the black ones, you get the mini ones as well as the regular sized ones. So I'm going to put these on right there. So on the edges. And I want, usually when I'm putting on a banner like this, I like to put one in the middle so that it doesn't sag. But the middle is going to be right over the knot of our bow. And so I don't want that extra lift there. And I'm get the bow like this. So it's going right over the knot. And then you can kind of adjust your ears as needed. And then trim the tails so that they're the same color. They should be the same color, the same size. There we go. So it's just like that. So there we go. There is card number 1. Nice and easy. And if you haven't heat embossed before, now you kind of know what it's all about. And it's fun. It does give a very nice finished look to your cards when you heat emboss. And there's a few little fun techniques you can do with it too. Thank you for the hearts. Anytime you guys give me hearts and thumbs up and things like that, I love it. But it's in addition to me loving it, it tells Facebook and YouTube, hey, this is something people are liking, and maybe we'll put it out there for more people to see, and that hopefully gets my name out there to more people. So thank you so much for doing that. Another thing you can do is you can share the video. You never know who on your feed might be interested. And again, it helps get my name out there. Okay, so now this card, where we are using the Beautiful Balloons stamps and the matching dies. When you buy them together, so you can buy these independently, you can buy just the stamps or just the dies, but when you buy them together, it's called a bundle, and you get I think it's a 10% discount when you buy a bundle. So know that that option is available when you are buying 2 pieces to a set like that. Okay, now look at this fancy dancy card, you guys. I love it. This uses our, I can't even think of what this paper's called. When when we had it a couple years ago as a celebration gift, they called it Bedazzled, and now they call it something else. But it comes in two shades. One is a lot more kind of gold, more of a yellow gold, where this is a little bit more of a subtle gold. And I just love it. It's very pretty, but it can be a little much. But can you imagine getting this blingy thing in the mail? I would love it. That would just tickle my fancy. Okay, so here's the front of the card. And there's the inside, more of that sparkle. Okay. And again, the card base is your standard card base, 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored right in the middle there at 4 1/4. There we go. Okay, now let's do our envelope first. Now, one thing I will kind of warn you about, when you use scissors or the dies or anything like that on this sparkly paper, it is a little harder on the blades. So be cautious. Don't do it all the time. Like I would not make this card in mass because I wouldn't want to use my embossing tool or my scissors that much on this paper. The other thing is, if you can, like I'm going to cut it in a moment with my scissors, it doesn't matter, but when I cut with dies, I lay it down and I put the die down on the back side. It seems to go through a lot easier when you do that. Also, if you can, run it through your machine a couple of times because it is thicker. It's a very thick paper, so you want to go through the machine a couple times just to make sure that it cuts through. Put my glasses on so I can see where I'm gluing. So now this strip is just 2.5 inches by 6 inches. Ooh. Got a lot of glue right there, so I'll just kind of try to pull some of it in. It does not take a whole lot of glue. This is a really, really nice liquid glue made by Tombow, but we carry it. And a little goes a long way. So you really don't need as much as you might think you do. Plus, also remember, liquid glue is wet because liquid by definition is wet. And when your paper gets wet, it kind of buckles, and you don't want your paper to buckle. So now I'm going to lay this right flat on there, and then I'm going to match it up so that my margins, so that my edges of my paper are the same. Flatten it out. Okay, now I'm going to take my snips and I'm just going to trim around the edge of my envelope here. Like I said, it's a lot thicker, and whatever it is that they make the sparkly stuff out of does make it, I shouldn't even say harder to cut through, because it's not hard to cut through, but it's definitely stiffer. So your scissors don't just run right through it like they do on regular paper. I didn't expect you back already. Jackson just returned from a DoorDash. Okay, so now, I don't like how that edge was sticking up. Okay, so see, easy peasy to make a beautiful envelope like that. And like I said, wouldn't you just love to get that in the mail? Okay, now let's work on our card. Let's do the inside of the card first. So this piece is 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have these little strips here. I've got this one, which is 1/2 inch, and this one that is 5/8 of an inch. And they're just scraps, so they're random lengths. So what I'm going to do first is put a little glue on the back of this piece, just because it's the shorter one. And I'm going to stick it down on the black. So the black, so it's right in the center. So this piece has just a little bit of black to anchor it to the card. There we go. Now I'm going to put a little strip of glue right here along the bottom of my card. And I do want to leave just a little bit of white underneath it. I think it just makes that black and gold piece pop. And then we'll trim the extra off. Just like that. And let's go ahead and put this into the inside of our card. There. And we'll set that aside while we work on the rest. Okay, so now to make this piece that's going to go diagonal across the card, I've got a piece that's 3 by 3 inches and a piece that's 3 by 3.5. I did this one just a little bit bigger so that I had some overlap where I could glue them together. And because this is a heavier paper, I just wasn't quite sure how well it would hold with regular adhesive. The snail probably would have worked just fine, but I went ahead and I'm using tear and tape anyway. Now when you use tear and tape, before you peel the back off, take your bone folder and scrape along the back of it. It presses the adhesive into your cardstock a little bit better, which makes it a little easier to tear that right off. So now I'm going to just line these up. I like to do it this way because then I know they're straight, and yet they aren't. Okay, let's try this. I'm trying it on just my regular desktop because I know it's flat. But still, that just doesn't look, it didn't look straight, but that's okay. Okay, now to glue this down on my card, again, I am using tear and tape. I just, like I said, with the weight of that sparkly paper, I wanted to make sure that it stays where I put it. And again, on this, I think the snail probably would have worked just fine. Okay, now take this piece off. And this piece off. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to do this just a bit of an angle. I'm doing it a little more of an angle than I did on my original one because when I got done I really had wished it had been a little more of an angle. So what I'm basically doing is just lining it up so that this corner and this corner line up on the paper of the card. And I'm trying to make sure that they are roughly the same distance from the top and the bottom. They're a little bit off, but that's okay. And now I'm going to just take my snips and trim it. The other thing you can do is you can take your paper trimmer and just go right along the edge of it, but I think I'm just going to do it with my scissors here. Right along the edge of the fold of the card. Yeah, but Lucy, hang on just a second, I'm sorry. What did you get? She just brought a big muddy bag of something in the house. Turkey. Okay, so now I'm going to do that on this side as well. I don't even know where she stole the bag that she brought in the house. There was one day I went to let her in and I looked at her and she was sitting in front of my glass door holding a giant dog food bag. Fortunately, it was empty, but it wasn't the brand of dog food we use. So I don't even know who she stole it from. Okay, so now I've got that piece against my, or on the card with that, you know, roughly in the center. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have a strip here that is 1.25 inches wide. I don't know how long it is because it was kind of a scrap. It's almost 5 inches. I just wanted it to be wider than this. And what I did is I wanted to kind of figure out where I needed to stamp it and where I wanted to cut it. So what I did is I took my ruler and a pencil. And I'm lining my ruler right. I'm butting it up against this the paper underneath. And I'm just lightly going over that. I'm going to do it on the other side too. Whoops. There we go. And I'm doing it lightly because I'm going to need to erase that in a minute. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is look at this and say, okay, where about am I going to want to stamp my image? And I'm going to want to do it right about there. So I'm going to stamp it before I cut it, just because I think it positionally makes it easier. Okay, so I'm going to take my Memento ink and the stamp that says Happy Birthday. And I want it to be right about there. There we go. Beautiful. Now, the next part that I'm about to do, you can certainly do it freehand if you choose. You know what? I think I did. Poop. You know what I did? Huh? Hang on here. Let's think this through. Because I want my cuts to be at a bit of an angle here. And I wanted it to be the same angle. I'm just thinking here, how did I do this last night? Oh, you know what? I bet I went like this, and that way I had my angle. Okay, there's another way we can do this, though. Okay, so what I'm going to do, sorry about that, I had to just recalibrate. So what I'm going to do now, because I want the two sides to be roughly the same, I want to make sure that however I line this up, I'm using markers so that I can do the same thing on both sides. So I think, let's see, how much of an angle do I want this? There we go. Okay, so you can see this is lined up with the first line here and the second line. So we're just going to do that on the opposite side. And then when we're done, I'll erase the pencil marks. So now I have to do it. I'm looking at it to make sure I want my cut to go the same direction. But you see how I'm lining it up? I'm just making sure that everything is lined up. But what's happening is I'm doing it in such a way that I was about to cut into the card like that. Okay, I think I'm good now. I think I've got it figured out. Oh my goodness, and I did them the same. So my edges are exactly the same, and that is not what I wanted, but that's easy enough to fix. So now, goodness gracious, I'm on fire tonight, aren't I, you guys? So it's going to be a little shorter than what I wanted, but that's okay. This is called real life stamping. You make a mistake and you go, okay, how am I going to fix it? And I just cut it the exact same way again. Okay, You guys, I am, okay, we're going to do this again. We're going to do it again. Okay. So I just want it to be 1 1/4 inches. Holy cow. It's almost like I know what I'm doing, right? Okay. Now, I want this, I'm putting it on like this. Okay, this is the key part, you guys. Put this piece on here straight, like this. Then do your lines. That way you have angles. Okay, so this is the way I wanted to show you guys in the first place. Is everybody still with me, or did you guys fall asleep on that one? Okay, there we go. Ta-da! Okay, now let's stamp our little message. Just trying to make sure I've got it straightish. We go for ish, not perfection. Okay, now when I go to trim this, I'm not going to trim on the lines that I drew. Those are only kind of guideposts for me. And the reason for that is because, remember, this is where my strip beneath it was, right? So if I cut there, it's going to be the exact width of the strip underneath. But I actually want it to be just a little bit wider. So what I'm going to do is find my trimmer, and I'm going to line up, figure out about how far beyond that cut I want, or that line I want my cut to be. And I think I want it to be kind of about 1/2 inch beyond my line. So see, my line I drew lines up with the 1/2 inch mark. See how much easier that is than the way I was just doing it? Gosh, Heather, you were out of control. Okay, there we go. Okay, I think I'm back under control again. Marsha's awake. Okay. Now I'm going to take my eraser, and I find I like these white erasers. I don't know why they seem to make the line, you know, the erased part more invisible. They erase better. Now, keep in mind, part of that too is that when I drew the line on here, I did it very, very lightly. But I do like these white erasers for doing stuff like this. Okay, see how quick and easy that was when I did it the right way? Goodness gracious. Okay, so now I'm just going to take, actually I'm going to take my, see that Lucy brought a bag. I don't know where she got it, but she brought a bag of mud in the house. Okay, so I'm using my tear and tape again. I do know that the regular adhesive does not work quite as well. Hey Nancy, welcome. Our regular adhesive doesn't work as well on this side of this paper. It doesn't like adhesive all that much. So definitely use your tear and tape for this part. And then peel this off. Okay. And I'm just putting it right about here. Okay. Then I had 3 balloons. 2 of them I already pre-cut just to save a little bit of time. And thank goodness I did, since I was so out of control there for a little bit. But one is this little balloon. I'll show you here. This balloon right there. And the coordinating die for that. The other was using the same die, but I cut out just the balloon. I didn't stamp. Now I'm going to show you another fun idea. Okay, so we have one balloon that you can stamp. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera. Let's see here. Yeah, you can see that shape of the balloon there. And it is designed to give you, so you can see it on here, and it kind of, you could, I'm trying to think how to explain, do it on colored paper and then make the little dots a little bit darker or whatever on your balloon, which is kind of fun. And then of course there's this big die to cut that out. But I didn't want a balloon that size, but I did want this little speckly stuff, right? So I'm taking my Memento ink again, and I'm just inking up the stamp. I've just got a scrap of paper. Darn it. I've just got a scrap here. There we go. See, and that's what it looks like when you stamp it. Clean off my stamp. Now I'm going to use the same smaller balloon die that I cut these ones out with, just to get a balloon with that speckly stuff on it. See, so it's going to fit just like that. I'm going to take a little bit of my Post-it tape. It's a great way to hold the die in place. Let me grab my little machine. We have two machines. We've got a larger one, and this is the little baby one. They both fold up just like this one did. In all ways, they are the same except for size. Most of our dies will fit into this little machine. However, there are some that are too big to fit through here, and that's when it's really nice to have the bigger one. Okay, so I'm just putting that on there. Feed it through. No. No. Lucy, no. She's trying to bring that stupid muddy bag back in. Hey, Teresa, welcome. Okay. So I've got that. Put this away really quick. And it pops right off of there. And see, now I have the little speckly balloon in the smaller size. Okay, so now let's finish putting this die together. So I've got my 3 balloons here. Oh. And the first thing I'm going to do is roll up little glue dots. And where's my take your pick tool? There it is. And actually, I don't even know if they need to be rolled up. But I'm going to put them right here in this kind of the bottom part of the balloon. It flung off the thing and onto my finger. Okay, there we go, just like that. Now the reason I did that is because now I'm going to stick these little pieces of baker's twine down, and they're going to hold in place so that they definitely come out the bottom part of the balloon where I want them to come out. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm again using my tear and tape on the back of the 2 of the balloons, because part of it's going to be on that gold paper, and I want to make sure that that it sticks. So yeah, I only need to do it on one, don't I? Ah, and I happen to be doing it on the right one. Yay me! Now I'm going to put dimensionals on the other ones. I'm going to put one right over the end of my baker's twine. Just a little extra something to hold it in place. Okay, now let's flip these over so I can see which ones I'm working with. And first I'm going to go ahead and place this one. By the way, the card base and the ink that I used on this balloon is the Pretty Peacock. This one was one of our in colors a few years ago. What did I do with theirs? In color a few years ago, and everybody loved it so much they brought it back when they did our color refresh this year. I don't know what my dog is doing, but she's making the dogs outside cry. Okay, so let's see. I think I'm gonna place this one right about here, I think. Okay, and now I'm gonna take this gold one. Whoops, peel the backs of the dimensionals off. What is it about these dimensionals? I swear they all go in the garbage and you get up in the morning and they're all over the living room. Anybody else have that problem? Okay, so I want to place this one right about here so it's up just a little bit higher than the pretty peacock one. Oops, it's a little crooked. A little bit crooked. There we go. And we'll trim these here in just a moment. Now we've got this one with the dimensionals, our little spotted one. And I think we'll put it right about here. Just like that. And now let's see how far we want to trim. Obviously we want to trim these ones to be the length, or right down to the bottom of the card. Oops, that wasn't very good, was it? There we go. And then this one maybe to about here, I think. There we go. Now let's put a little bit of black sparkly on there. So I've got the adhesive backed sparkle gems. And for this, let's put one right there. And let's see, one there and a little one. And another. And we'll put a couple that are off of the little main strip here just to give it a little bit of interest. And there we go. So card number 2. Boy, that one was painful, wasn't it? And you know what I did, you guys? I did it upside down. Oh my goodness. That's okay. I'll just use some undo and lift this up and glue it back down. Let's see if I can just lift it up. Yes, John, that is exactly what happens. It's like tinsel, Christmas tinsel, you know? Come Easter, you're still finding it all over the house. Okay, so let's put this on the right way now. Goodness gracious. I swear if I ever write an autobiography, I'm probably going to have to title it Goodness Gracious. Okay, yeah, it's totally upside down because that's where the fold is. But I could do it this way, I guess. But then my balloons are weird. You know what? I'm going to do it backwards and then send it to a friend. Say it's a left-handed card. There we go. It's a left-handed card. That, folks, is how you make a left-handed card. Tonight's painful, isn't it? Okay, so let's put this one away. All right. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. Excuse me. Okay, last card. And it should not be nearly as painful, you guys. Thanks, Marcia. Okay. Last but not least. First of all, I'm using a couple different die sets, a couple different stamp sets. This is another card that pay more attention to the structure of the card and the way I'm making it than the specific stamps and dies that I use, because we have a lot of different ones that would work well for a card like this. And you'll see what I'm talking about. See like how this has the big open leaf? That's what I was looking for. So anything that has like a big open leaf like that, or big open, like this flower, that's what I was looking for. Then I also have my scalloped, this is the artistic dies. And then I've got my scalloped contours dies, and I'm going to be using this little frame here. But you could use any stamp, or I'm sorry, any die that gives you kind of that shape, because it's just going to be a background color. You'll see. I also used my time-worn type embossing folder. Any embossing folder that has a real basic background image would work really well. I just wanted a little texture on my paper. And then go to greetings. Any greeting from any stamp set would work. So again, I have an assortment here, but you could use whatever it is that you have in your little arsenal. Okay, so here's the card we're making. It's black and white. And there we go. See what I mean about any kind of rectangular shape, any open leaf, any sentiment, and it opens that way. Okay, so let's get started. This one, the card base, is sometimes called the hot dog cut because it's long and skinny. You know, I'm with you, John. I am just happy to receive happy mail. It looks like Florence is as well. Okay, so this is also a half of a sheet of cardstock, but it's cut lengthwise. So it's 4 1/4 inches wide, but it's 11 inches long. And I scored it at 5 1/2 inches. So that's how you get yourself a card that opens at the top. But you could also, if you wanted, still have it open on the left like that, and it's just a little bit different shape. Okay, so let's do our envelope first. This one, again, we're just going to glue a piece of 2.5 by 6 inch strip of designer series paper. This happens to be the back side of our Zoo Crew designer series paper because I just wanted a black and white image. I didn't want anything specific. I wanted design. That's a better way to say it, design. Okay, so get a little bit of glue on here. Okay, a little bit in the middle. And I line it up. Rub it on the inside too. This is just second opportunity to make sure I get it pressed down really nice along my edges there, because I don't like it when the edge of the paper lifts. And then I'm just trimming around the edge of the envelope. There we go. And our envelope is ready. It looks like I got a little bit of glue on it, so I'll show you how I get rid of that. I have an adhesive eraser. This is not a Stampin' Up! Product. It's just something I bought off of Amazon for a couple bucks. And it erases that adhesive right off. Oh, I've got glue on my fingers, it appears. And everywhere I'm putting my fingers down, I'm putting more adhesive. Okay. So I'm going to just set this aside for the moment. Now for the rest of our card, we don't need to put a piece on the inside, obviously, because it's already white, so it'll be easy to make a message there. But I do have one little strip here that matches the envelope that I'm going to put right there. There we go. Whoops. I'd like to make sure it goes all the way to the edge though, because again, like I said, I just don't like it when my edges of my paper lift. And then I just lay this down on there. If you line up one edge, oh my goodness, I just did it to the front of the card, but that's easy enough to fix. Can't believe I did that though. This was supposed to go on the inside, but that's easy to fix, easy to fix. Okay, so we have that piece on. Nope, the bag stays outside, Lucy. I swear she's like a toddler. There we go. Now, to fix this, we're just going to refold the card. Golly. Okay. Okay, there we go. It's like it never happened. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this piece. The measurements are the same for the front of like the first card we did, where actually I take that back. I did make this one smaller. So this piece is actually 5 inches by 3 3/4, and this is 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. So it is 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. So again, we just have that really narrow little mat, and this is, I ran it through the, with the embossing folder. No, Lucy, that stays outside. Wow, we've had a lot of fun up there. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. Get it centered-ish. Now with this particular embossing folder, if you look really closely, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can very faintly see little words on here. I like to make sure the words are going the right direction, but you know, you have to look really, really closely to even see them. So if you put it on upside down, the world is not going to end, unless you're me, and then it'll bug you for the rest of eternity. So you've got to pay attention to that kind of thing. Okay, so we're just going to center this on here, centered-ish. There we go. And now we're going to start working on the other pieces we've got. So we have our little rectangle, or frame, or whatever you want to call it. I have a little strip. This is 2.5 inches, I think. 2 1/4 inches by 3/4 of an inch of the printed paper. I have 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches, I think, yeah, of basic white. That's where we're going to stamp our sentiment. And then I also have the leaf here that's going to go right on to our little black background. Let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment, because then it's just a matter of putting everything together. So, okay, found my sentiment. Here it is. I chose Thinking of You. I'm going to try to get it straightish. There we go. Clean off my stamp. Okay, put the ink away. Now let's get going on this little baby. I'm going to show you, when you have a piece, something like this, that is such fine details, there's a couple different ways that you can put adhesive on it. One is to very, very lightly and carefully take your liquid glue and tap little dots of glue all over the place. But I'm going to show you another method that works really well. So this is our silicone mat. You can buy these on my website. I think they're about $5. And the nice thing about them is you can see this little shiny bit here. This is where I put the glue on it last night. It just rolls right up. It's designed to not have adhesive stick to it. So it works really well for things like what I am just about to do. See, you clean it off by just rolling the little glue bits off.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my liquid glue and put it on there like that. And then I'm taking a sponge dauber. I have one that I keep specifically for this purpose because it does get kind of mucky and yucky and gross. But the sponge daubers aren't expensive. You get like 5 of them for $5. Okay, so now I'm just dabbing it in the glue, and I'm dabbing it on the back of my die cut. And it makes it so it's kind of like a little sticker. Okay, so now I'm going to lay this where I want it. I think I want it to be right about like that. Oh, goodness gracious, Lucy. I may have to put her in her crate. When the neighbors go outside, she goes bonkers. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside. Now tomorrow when this glue is dry, now if you don't want to do it this way, you could always take it to your sink and wash it off. But I'll just leave it till my glue is dry and then just roll it right off. Okay, so now, oh my goodness, Lucy. Okay, so now this piece, I'm going to put a little bit of my foam adhesive sheet behind it. You could just use dimensionals if you want. I found when I have pieces like this that are like a big, like a rectangle, I just like the sturdiness of the foam adhesive sheet. They come in squares that are about this big. They're 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And you just cut them down to whatever size you need them to be. Now when I'm cutting it from a big one, I do like to use bigger scissors. It just seems to cut a little bit better. Let's see how long I want this. Okay. Now again, if you don't have these and you just have dimensionals, use your dimensionals. That's just fine. One thing I do like about this though is I don't have to pull 100 different little backs off, because you know I like to put about 1,000 dimensionals on there, right? Okay, so, oh, that dog. Now, I'm putting it kind of in the lower corner here. Lay it down lightly because this adhesive is very strong, and once it sticks, it sticks. So if you lay it down lightly, you can still reposition it if you need to. And then I've got these two pieces, and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right. I said I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right here. And I'm kind of centering it. There we go. Oh, good, Marsha. I'm glad that you liked that technique. I used to do it all the time, especially before I kind of got the feel for using the glue bottle and just getting a tiny little dot at a time. Now I don't always use it, but for something like this, like a piece this big, it really does work nicely. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another little bit of my foam adhesive. Now, the reason I'm using this rather than a dimensional is because all of our different adhesive or our foam adhesives seem to have a different height to them. And I want to make sure that this is the same height as this piece right here. Hang on, I have to do something about Lucy. Can you help me with Lucy, please? Can you help me with Lucy, please? Okay, Jackson's going to come out and help me with Lucy. Okay, so now I'm really sorry about that, you guys. She has just been a little turd tonight. Okay, so I just need a little piece, probably that big. The neighbors are out and she's barking and I can't hear her stop. You can just put her in her crate if you don't want to be out here. Okay, so now I'm going to put the adhesive on the back of this side because this side is already going to be lifted up on top of that black strip, right? So I'm going to put a little bit of, thank you, Jackson. Boy, tonight is really real life, isn't it, you guys? Okay. So I'm going to put this right here, just like this. Oh, I do want. Oh, I have not put her. Okay. There we go. Now, you could trim that a little bit, probably, if you wanted to. But there you go. See, that card was nice and easy, right? And it's even going the right direction. Okay, and we'll put it with the matching envelope. And here we go, card number 3. So let me clean up my mess and we'll take a look at what we've made tonight. Now remember, if you are interested in joining Stampin' Up!, want to find out a little bit more about that deal I told you about, you can go to heathersides.stampinup.net. There will be more information there. Or you can just email me at stamphappenings@gmail.com or send me a private message here on Facebook and ask me any questions that you have. Like I said, it's a great time to try it out because if nothing, if you sign up, decide it's not for you, it's no big deal at all. Thank you, Marcia. I had fun with the black and white one. I really liked, oh, hey, Joyce. I don't do just plain black and white very often, so I liked it. But I did have fun tonight playing with black. Most everything I do, I like lots of color and bold and bright and fun. And it was fun to just focus on the black and see what I could do. So I would love for you guys to do that and let me see what you come up with. So first we have this card. And then we have this one. This is my sample one, so it's going the right direction. I can't believe I did that. That's so funny. Okay, so card number 2 is our happy birthday card. And then just a note. Just like that, where we focus more on the black, but it doesn't look like super fancy cards or kind of dreary cards just because black is the main color. So again, I encourage you guys to do the same and then share them with me. Let me see what you've come up with. I hope you guys had a good time tonight. I always have a good time with you guys. If you do go to my website to place an order for supplies or, to make these cards or to make more, or just to fill up your own supply of things that you need, if you would use this host code, that helps me a lot to continue to provide these videos and prizes and things for free. But if your order's over $150, please don't use that host code. You'll have free products coming to you, and I want to make sure that you are the one to receive them. Good, Teresa. I'm glad that it has kind of inspired you to try out playing with the black. Make sure, this is the really important step though, you guys, make sure you let me see what you came up with, because that's always fun for me for it to come back around and see what you guys have come up with. So anyway, I hope you had a good time tonight. I always have a good time with you guys. Didn't have so much fun with my dog tonight. I hope she wasn't too much of a problem for you guys. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys back here, same time, same place, facebook.com/stamphappenings at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We'll do it all over again next week. Have a good one, you guys.